The United States has added Nigeria to a list of countries facing partial travel restrictions over security and documentation concerns. This now means traveling to the United States as immigrants on the B1, B2, F, M, and J visas is hereby suspended until further notice. Consular officers will also reduce the validity of other non-migrant immigrant visas issued to Nigerians to the extent permitted by law. These changes affect 15 mostly African countries. For Nigeria's part, the White House says radical terrorist groups such as Boko Haram and the Islamic State operate freely in certain parts of Nigeria, which creates substantial screening and vetting difficulties. For more on this, Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies, David Awurawo, joins us now live from the University of Lagos. Good morning, Professor Awurawo, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Nice to be here.
Well, very quickly, Nigeria has set up a working group with the United States, the NSA, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. They've been meeting at the diplomatic level following the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern on October 31. And now this comes along. Now, Nigeria is added to an existing list of about 12 countries that will face full or partial restrictions in terms of visas. Please, can you take us through this in terms of, one, the reputational damage for Nigeria, because this is a clear reputational damage for Nigeria to be categorized along with Yemen, Syria, Zambia, Equatorial Guinea. I think Zimbabwe is also on the list. Anyway, that's on the lighter side. But, reputational damage and the cost of it, and what can Nigeria do?
Okay, I begin with the first. That is reputational damage. It is huge. One is almost tempted to say that Nigeria's image has taken a toboggan slide, and its influence in world affairs has diminished tremendously in recent years. When one looks at this side by side, Nigeria's experience with Burkina Faso in the past week, one could almost say that Nigeria's diplomatic engagement is cataclysmic. Because a country like Burkina Faso having such a clout, such temerity to detain a Nigerian airplane and then Nigerian military men, now added to this is Nigeria's, this partial ban. Yeah, so you are right. The reputational damage is huge, is extensive. We hope that we'll be able to clean up as quickly as possible so we return to where we used to be, among the strong countries with extensive influence on the global stage. The second, cost. The cost is also extensive. If we look at it, it cuts across. There is no range, there is no category that is excluded. B1, B2, those going for business will now have a whole lot of problems. That would mean, reduction in what they're able to do in terms of business with the United States. B2, tourism is also affected. F1, our students who go to the US to acquire education and do so well, they will now have huge issues in getting visas. In fact, they can't even go for now until things improve. We have M, non-academic and then vocational is also affected. And the J1 exchange, all the visas, all the range of visas are affected. So in terms of cost, the cost will be huge as well, to be extensive. Which is why when I saw some tweets from some prominent Nigerians like Shehu Sani since the past 2 days that Nigerians should sit at home and solve their problems, I just say these guys are ignorant. It's not only those who want to run away, Japa, that this thing affects. It affects virtually all Nigerians who have something to do with the United States. So the cost is huge, and the government has to do something very quickly so that this partial restriction can be lifted as quickly as possible. In terms of what the government can and should do, a whole lot. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has a lot to do to get in touch with the State Department to present the facts. To be fair to Nigeria, the ban is actually, I would say, uncalled for. given the fact that the Nigerian authorities are already working with the American authorities to address this, hydra-headed problem of terrorism, ISWAP, Boko Haram, and the rest. And second, Nigeria has over 400,000, there are over 400,000 people of Nigerian descent in the United States, maybe up to 500,000. There is no record of any of them having them involved in anything linked to terrorism all of these years. The only one we had was Abdul Muttalab, who even doesn't live in the US, who also was even hardly Nigerian. He lived here for a few years, went to Togo, went to the UK and all. And that's 16 years ago, 2009. So when one looks at Nigeria's records, it is surprising that Nigeria has been added to the list. So Nigeria has to present all of these facts to the State Department, to the legislature. The Nigerian embassy in the US has to be very active. The ambassador has to be charismatic beyond just he's an old person. I would have wished a younger person, a new, younger, vibrant person were appointed. People were, criticizing me when I said, well, I don't know how much these old people, they keep circulating can achieve, but all well and good. So all these things are the things that the government should do. The government also needs to lobby. There's extensive lobbying achieves a lot so that the Nigerian side can be presented and very quickly this thing can be addressed. There is a glimmer of hope. I mean, Turkmenistan, one of the countries under partial ban before, in the earlier bans that were, that were imposed, had their bans lifted 2 days ago when this Nigeria was added to the list, because they had cooperated with the US, they had worked together, and they found that they had made progress. Yeah. So if Nigeria can follow that track, we are confident that in a short while, this partial ban can be lifted.
Thank you so much. Going to your last point around progress made by some of the countries who were removed, were earlier put on a sort of ban from the US or restriction, travel restriction from the USA. One other area they talked about was our overstay rate, and also the fact that they didn't have access to verify identities of some people or for nationals from these countries. Do we have a challenge with data verification in Nigeria, especially because the Ministry of Interior had introduced some new technology to ensure that we're able to really make that process more transparent and seamless? And then how do we also address the overstay challenges that they say that is one of the reasons why this restriction was imposed, in addition, of course, to the security concerns?
Yes, we have a bit of problem with data. There's no doubt about that. We have forever been trying to link all our multiple identity levels together and all that. Now we have NIN, which makes it a lot easier. We have BVN, of course, that's another level entirely. We do have, but I don't think it is that bad. Usually, if the United States is not sure of one's records, they deny a whole lot. I'm not sure they give more than 10 out of 100. So anybody they are not sure of, the background and all that, they usually deny. So I'm not sure that should actually be a problem until they are sure. I mean, until when they now check data and are sure of the person's profile and everything before they give. So yes, we have a bit of a problem with that. We can strengthen that. We can work with the US and then be more open about that. For those who overstay is a problem. The government has little control over that. We can only talk to ourselves to be more responsible. But when you look at the percentage, for B1P they say 5%, for J maybe up to 10-11%. Well, it is a bit high, but it is not outrageous, really. But that you can only do by, enlightenment. That look, if you travel and you overstay, you create problems for yourself, and you also create problems for other Nigerians who will now be affected by your action. That is the much we can do. Once somebody is given a visa and he travels, the government has no control over that person. So we can only, talk to ourselves to be responsible, so that we can overcome that. But altogether, what we need to do is to work closely with the State Department, present our case. We have a strong case. We have not, because the main reason why this restriction has been imposed is, security concerns, terrorism, on the part of the US. And Nigerians are not known to have been involved in any of this. The large number of Nigerians we have there are not known to have been involved in any of this. So that gives us a very strong case. It's true, yes, verification and all that. Anybody that the US is not sure of course, the person will be denied. Then the person can come back when the US is sure. I'm sure if we are methodical about it, we should be able to get the US to leave this thing as quickly as possible.
Okay, and I'm really even happy because you mentioned the case of Mutalab. The Mutalab case you talked about, his father had even reached out to the US authorities before that incident happened, and they were already working. And in fact, it gave the US authority a lot of leverage to be able to track the movement of Mutalab and averted the danger, that happened then. But I remember when they first gave us the limited duration of visa to 3 months, the Minister of Interior engaged with them. These were the same reasons they cited. They cited overstay and the likes. And the minister had started to engage with them. So what do you probably think happened along the line? Because this overstay conversation, it's not today that we have started engagement with them. I have it on good authority that the minister has started to engage with them when they first reduced the visa, visa time to about 3 months.
Yeah, I think what happened is loss of confidence. Those the finding missions that have been coming to Nigeria in the aftermath of the declaration of Nigeria as a country of particular concern on the 31st of October, a whole lot has been seen by these people, and so much is said. In fact, that lawmaker Moore, he has been, if you check his profile, his online profile, he's been talking and talking and talking. He's been revealing a whole lot. So there is this, I think there is this loss of confidence in Nigeria's capacity to, tackle this problem headlong, this problem of terrorism, insurgency, whatever they call it. I think it's not just the overstay that they have been working on, it's the totality of the perception of the United States, about Nigeria, which was the point that, Dr. Abatin made earlier about reputational damage. It is a matter of reputation. There's this loss of confidence. So it's a wide gamut of things together that led to this, to my mind. And which is why I said that what Nigeria needs to do is to work closely with the authorities to be as transparent as possible, to be as candid as possible. Like this attempt to deny no Christian genocide, it doesn't sell anywhere. The facts are all over the place. Just admit that it exists. We are working to overcome it. That is a better approach than to deny what is obvious. These are the things, I've suggested these things over and over again. Countries all have their problem. You just mentioned the fact that Abu Mutalab, the father went to the embassy, they missed it. People make mistakes. Even the US, as important as this matter ought to have been to them, they missed it. Which of that the young man was able to travel, he got to Amsterdam, he was on the way to Michigan when this happened. So candor, openness, transparency, and willingness to work to get all of these things sorted out, to my mind, is the way out. And if we do this as quickly as possible, we should be able to overcome this challenge.
Just one quick question. You have outlined what the Nigerian government can do, but you left out something that is also an option. Reciprocity, which is a hallmark in international diplomacy. Are you saying that will not be a good option for us? If they say they won't give us visa, why don't we say, okay, we too will restrict visas of US citizens to Nigeria? You don't advise that we can consider that option?
Not at all. It will be the biggest mistake ever. When an elephant is fighting with a rabbit or a mouse, as the case may be, the mouse has to accept, or the rabbit has to accept certain things and just lick his wounds.
Who is the mouse? Who is the elephant? What do you mean, Professor Awo? What do you mean?
I was going to say,
I put it to you, Prof. What do you mean?
As a patriotic Nigerian, I cannot sit here and we'll call rabbit and I was maybe we should clarify.
With due respect, take that back, Prof. Take it back.
Are we the elephant? Now, are we the rabbit?
Let me tell you, you see, the international relations is conducted on the basis of power. When you look at the indices of power to measure the US and Nigeria is practically powerless. So who is mouse, who is elephant is clear from that. Let me just give you, for context, let me just tell you this. The total GDP of Africa last year was about $2.5 trillion. California alone in the US is close to $3 trillion. So California's GDP is bigger than that of not Nigeria, the whole of Africa. So when I say elephant and rabbit, I'm even being generous to us.
It's enough, side. Prof. It's enough. Anyway, it's enough.
I'm just saying that reciprocity is not an option. Let us just follow it methodically, and I'm sure as quickly as possible,
we are the giant of Africa.
Restriction will be lifted by the US.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Professor Wora. The truth is bitter, and unfortunately, that's the reality we find on ground. It's one thing to be positive; it's another thing to be real. Thank you for your time with us this morning.